Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Daniel here. Industry Giants 2024 was wild. Packed house, killer speakers, and non-stop creative energy. One of the standout guests was Emerson Tung, concept artist behind Doom and the creator of the acclaimed book Tankhead. We grabbed an exclusive interview with him, never before seen until now. Check it out. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. So here again at Industry Giants, an amazing panel. Super excited to have all the excellent speakers that we've gotten. I'm very fortunate to be sitting here with Emerson Tung. So Emerson, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Emerson Tung, and I'm the art director at id Software and the author of Tankhead, this book right here.
Awesome, cool, yeah. So let's get into some of these questions. So how does one go about making a mechanical encyclopedia art book? It sounds daunting.
It kind of is if you try to come up with everything at once, to figure it out all at the start before you even start on the project. But the way I approached Tankhead was a little bit more casual. We took it one piece at a time. I would just draw it when I'm free. And, just being consistent with it throughout the years, I ended up piling up more and more drawings, and they were just sitting around. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make a book out of these drawings, right? And that's when I hit up the writer. We started collaborating. He gave me ideas, we tossed ideas back and forth. And, throughout the whole time, we just took it one piece at a time.
Yeah, it sounds like, so basically you were just like, oh, I'm off of work and I'm, watching The Office for the 8th time or whatever. Let me just draw something.
Yeah.
And it turned into a book from that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it was. For the longest time, I did have a deadline set for when I was going to do this book. For most of the part of the project, it really was just something casual, something that I did just for fun. And I think that kind of takes the pressure off a little bit and
sure,
finish this by this year or this date. And because it is a personal project, you can't afford to just take your time with it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's a great way to channel your extra energy.
Yeah.
So since you created an entire encyclopedia of mechs, do you have a favorite mech IP genre like Voltron or Zoids or Gundam?
Can I be cheeky and say Attack on Titan?
Yeah, I think if you want to,
yeah,
sure.
But in all seriousness, growing up, I really love Gundam. I think everyone does. If you love mechs, you probably do love Gundam. I love Macross. Neon Genesis Evangelion obviously is a big inspiration of mine. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, that's a big one too. Inspired some of the mechs in Tankhead. I think, but one of my most favorite ones, it's the King of the Braves, Gao Gaigar. If anyone has,
that's taking it back. Yeah.
Came out in the 90s. It's super over the top, super awesome. I think even non-mech fans would enjoy that.
Yeah, that's even on the fringes of my memory. Yeah, guy. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, awesome. Okay. So what makes a good mech design, and what do you look for when it comes to properly designed mechs?
Yeah, that's a really good question. What makes a good mech design? You also usually make a good design in general. You could apply the same rules that you apply to a good mech design to what makes a good environment, what makes a good character, what makes a good prop, right? And the three things I look for usually when it comes to good design is function. Does this thing look like what it's supposed to do, right? And function doesn't only adhere to what it's supposed to do function-wise, but it also adheres to how it fits in the story, as a whole. And the second part is aesthetic, right? And that's what we're usually trying to do as concept artists, is to make something that looks appealing, right? And the last one is it has to be iconic. when we think of Gundam, when we think of Voltron, you immediately are able to picture it in your head, right? Like we all know what Optimus Prime looks like. And that's what it means to be an iconic design, is that it must be memorable. And like my boss usually says, like a 6-year-old should be able to draw this, right? And if a 6-year-old can draw it, they could draw Iron Man, they could draw Batman, like, you have an iconic design on your hands.
Sure. So basically just like the fine line between aesthetically pleasing and functional, right? No rubber hoses, but also striking enough that it's memorable for children. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So you're not just a mech designer, you're also a concept artist at id Software, right? So what was it like breathing life into a classic franchise like Doom? Because it was not too long ago, a distant memory with the revival of Doom and Doom Eternal. And I believe that they just announced another Doom game in the franchise. It's basically become a household name.
Yeah. It was really interesting because when I first joined it, like no one, like this was way before Doom 2016 came out, right? Like it came onto the project. So I got to see the time from when people weren't really talking about id Software to now, everyone's talking about id Software. Everyone's talking about Doom Eternal. And I feel like I can't really take a lot of credit because it is such a collaborative effort. When you work in video games, every person counts. And with such a small studio like it truly counts. So I was just like one piece of the puzzle, right? To that brought like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal to life. But it's been a really fun ride. There's not a day that like I don't wake up and pinch myself that I get to work on this awesome IP. It's fun. It's exciting. It's wild.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean, it's such a well-known, well-established franchise at this point. Awesome. Okay. So you, as a concept artist, right? So concept art is one of the most difficult subgenres in the animation and video game fields to get into. It's highly competitive. It is. So do you have any advice for aspiring artists that are trying to get into the industry? What helps you stand out from the other people competing for that position?
Right. I touched a bit on this earlier in my talk, but staying true to yourself really does matter. Like I talked about Red Ocean and Blue Ocean. You don't ever want to be competing in Red Ocean, right? Like nowadays, ArtStation, everyone's drawing like a cyberpunk character, like everyone's just following trends. So I think like as creatives, we should never follow trends and just, do what we want to do. And this kind of applied to Tankhead. I did Tankhead because I love drawing mechs. That's what excites me. And I think that in a way helped me stand out from the crowd because, when I started doing Tankhead, no one was really doing what I was doing. And that will help you stand out from like the sea of like ArtStation failures too. Like draw what really excites you. I'll say like that's the advice.
No, that's really good advice. So just kind of do things that interest you and try and forge your own path instead of just drawing whatever has the most hits on the hashtags.
Exactly.
Yeah. I did hear that it's really important to become a professional at your own specific niche in the market. At a previous Industry Giants thing, and that's stuck with me ever since. So yeah. If everyone's drawing cyberpunk, then do like steampunk or something. Yeah. Sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Because like a lot of art directors are seeing like hundreds of portfolio. Like
absolutely. Yeah.
As a job posting, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're just blending into the crowd, like the chances of you drawing the art director's attention is way low. Yeah. So, but if you're doing something special that no one else is doing, like something that you don't only see in other portfolio, like chances are the art director will stop and add their portfolio.
Awesome. Okay, so you heard it here first. If everyone's doing mechs, then do kaiju. Exactly. Awesome. So, thanks for your time. We really appreciate you coming and interviewing with us, and also giving your excellent speech that you just gave a little while ago. Is there anything else that you'd like to sign off with our audience for?
Buy my book. It's available on Amazon. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great book. If you haven't checked it out, I'd highly suggest it. Emerson does great work. But okay, I mean, thanks for being here, and we're excited to have you. Hopefully, we'll see the rest of y'all at the next Industry Giants. Signing off.
See ya.